Hello and good evening, wherever you might be, afternoon, evening. Welcome to Omi's production studio. And how is everyone doing? We are featuring Returning to Grassroots. I have done one segment on grassroots, and we're going to be returning to grassroots. It's necessary to talk about our position in society as African American or Indigenous First World people. And I'd like to talk to you about why we have to return to our grassroots. Some people have come under the notion that we're going through some changes in our lives and that there is a demographic change of actual nationalities of people who are diminishing and those of us who are increasing. And I wanted to talk to you about our position and where we stand in the position of the government taking care of us, providing for us. We have to periodically look at this challenge of staying steadfast and staying progressively sustainable. I want to use the word sustainable because it's used in organic gardening and it's used in anything that is generically put together. And sustainability is something we have to grasp on too. We used to be archaeologists, we used to be agriculture specialists, and we were specialists in knowing how to test the soil and knowing the signs of times that would actually express to us just where we were in society economically. I want to address economics first. Um, I know for a fact that money rolls through African Americans' hands rather rapidly, and we have been known to be I guess you would say, the people who have alchemy all around them. And the problem of the matter is that even though the alchemy is finding itself in our communities, it doesn't stay there very long. It rapidly moves on. Now, in the Koreans, the Japanese, and in the Asian, particularly Asian, that alchemy stays a lot longer than any other nationality. And the question should be why and how? How are they able to keep their filthy lucre in the grips of their hand in their communities? First of all, we have to define what community is. And we have to even identify as to whether or not we have a community. And let me explain particularly community. Community has lapsed in African American settings. We no longer have communities. We don't have community parks. We don't have community session stands where children can go to camp right in their own community. We don't even have family resource centers. And I've been trying so desperately hard to get it in the hearts of mothers to let's recreate our family resource centers within the contents of our own home, and let's start from there. A community is one where you can go and find open at a certain particular time. You can go there looking for extracurricular activity, looking for speakeasies, looking for talks and platforms, looking for how to register for your political party to determine who you're going to vote for. A community center becomes a resource center full of information for us. But we've been given welfare and we've been given food stamps and SNAP. So we have been entertained by the government, you say, Omi. That's right. And we rely on the government to give us the news and to set us straight on things, to also provide us with the necessary information we need to enroll our children in school. We are too dependent on the government. And as most of us know, the government will leave you hanging and will not tell you some things. For example, I don't know if most of you know that There is several meetings that are being arranged in the community areas where there are community Caucasians, and they are getting the all-time special where they're bringing a Social Security administrator in to speak on the topic of the changes of Social Security administration and the rapidly changing of the changes of those who have claims in for their disability. So this would be where you would go to get all the up-to-date information. And we're having it right here in our community in Plainsville. And wouldn't you know it, it was on the internet. Had I not seen it there, I wouldn't have known that we were going to have this gathering. But that's a great opportunity to go and say, what is happening to my contributed retirement money? Because you did contribute to Social Security. Most of you who are getting Social Security retirement, you contributed to that. It's not welfare. And don't let anyone tell you it's welfare. You put money in to that organization and it's your money. Now, those of you who are receiving SSI, you didn't work, unfortunately, and they're just giving you something because you are considered on the, I guess you would say, indigence list, and they had to give you something so you would not be on the street. And that's SSI that comes from all of the government workers, and we're footing that bill, and you haven't paid anything into your collective work society. And then you have SSI, that's the SSI, and then you have SSA, okay? And then Social Security disability. For those who became ill and who would not be recuperating for up to a year, they were deemed eligible for Social Security disability. Now, that disability money is excess that the government gives you. Now, I want you to know that you also have a family budget, not just your money, but if you have a family, you have a family budget. So if you become disabled, your wife will then get a Social Security disability check, and if your child is underage, she will also get a Social Security check. And your wife gets that check because it's a part of your family allotment. Now, as a grassroots person, I'm telling you, if there are any meetings in your community about Social Security Administration, please do sign up to go. Don't be negligent. And don't say that nobody told me, because you have to get out and get there and hear what they have to say. So if you want to dispute anything, you have grounds to dispute it because you're there and you're present. Don't wait till after this meeting goes on and then later on you want to dispute something and you didn't even take the effort to come to the grassroots meeting. Now, these grassroots meetings are very important because we have to build our community back up to a grassroots level. And before I talk to you about gardening, today I'm going to talk to you about your brother's keeper. And you know we are our brother's keeper. And because we are our brother's keeper, we have to have sustainability. We have to make sure that everyone is sustaining themselves in the community. Everyone has their daily bread, and everyone is mentally stable. And if there is one among us who's not mentally stable, we have to ask them, what is it that they need to be made whole? Or how can we make them whole? We have to make recommendation, and we should also collectively vote on a priest, priestesses, Babalaw, Iyanafi, or a Petibi to come to our community to make community for us. This is what's going to make community. By selecting one of these individual practitioners, they can come to our community and set in a circle, a round circle discussion to talk about the ills and to talk about the needs in the community. And if one is sick with palsy among us or needs the instrumental health to become well, these particular practitioners have it within their power to address your illness. If they've been trained well in Budum or trained in Ifa, they can address the illness of that community. And most of the time, there's a lot of us that are ill and don't have the benefit of hospitalization or medical to go to any allopathic doctor. And some of them don't want to go to the allopathic doctor. Some of them think if they just hold off, it will just subside and that condition will go away. Well, acute situation have to be addressed immediately by going to the hospital to get immediate attention. But those long-term preventative things can be cared for by a priest, a babalawo, an Yanify, or a petibi. And sometimes devotees are skilled in this area of knowing what to do with issues that pertain to illnesses that can be cured with herbs, tinctures, and fusions. But yet, we are talking about sustainability. How do we sustain ourselves when we are trying to avoid from going into the system of the hospital? How do we sustain ourselves and how do we prevent and use long-term preventative to care for ourselves? Then we have to have someone there that is skilled and trained to help us. And when we look at the different nationalities, like I said, the Filipinos, they have the most ability to maintain their money in their community, and it stays there, and we can hear that dollar holler. But unfortunately, when that dollar comes into the African American community, we buy a lot of superficial things that are shiny and that look well and that appear to be rich, but they have no value within themselves. We don't understand that we might have to go to the pawn shop to return something, so we don't understand the value of the tools we get. I see some people that go into the pawn shops with their computers. That carries value. And I can see them taking their wedding ring off, taking it into the pawn shop to be able to recoup money for it. We have got to have a safe place where our money can dwell, not the bank, but among us in our own safety deposit box where we create our own banks. We definitely have to look at how we can create our own banks and take that interest that we're given on those sports cards, the interest that we're given on credit cards, and we actually take that interest and accumulate it so it is deposited in our own bank, but we pay those items back at the interest that they accumulate and get a lower interest and have our own banks. We must look at having our own banks to avoid from having to go to the government and say, Mr. Enforcer, you got to help me. My family's about to get put out on the streets and I don't want to be homeless. Mr. Enforcer don't care about you being homeless. And it's not Mr. Enforcer's responsibility to keep you from staying out of the streets. Now, a lot of you don't go to the meetings when your house is potentially threatening a foreclosure. You don't go to the meetings to find out how to sustain your home or how to get a modification. You must attend these meetings in a community because those that are Caucasian, they will definitely be up front in those meetings trying to save their home. And African Americans, we should do it too. We should do everything we can in our power to fight as long as we can to sustain holding on to our home. Some people think if they just file bankruptcy, that's all they have to do and wish they're going to save their home. Bankruptcy is a temporary thing. It does not, it prolongs the foreclosure, but it doesn't prevent the foreclosure. Now, if you're looking at a reorganization like a Chapter 13, that can possibly help you to do a 5-year plan of paying back all of your bills, and whatever is left over, they will dismiss it. But you have to get that in writing. You have to know that. So I'm going to be telling you some things today that I think that you should have known about that might help you in the future. Now, they're looking at reverse mortgage. Some of you seniors who are still in your home, you're frightened to death when someone says, why don't you get a reverse mortgage? Oh no, they'll take my home away and the government will own it and then they'll leave this burden with my children. No, they have changed reverse mortgages. Reverse mortgages have changed to benefit you because they take an estimate of your home and what it's worth, and whatever that equity is in your home, they can actually loan you that money and give you a line of credit with that amount of money where you can take that line of credit and use it if you'd like to. And if you don't, you don't have to worry. And there is no monthly mortgage. Why, you can't even fathom not having a monthly mortgage, can you? You don't think it's real. You think someone's playing tricks on you. Well, this is not a trick. The government has taken on all of the possibility of you defrauding on that reverse mortgage. The government has assured you that that reverse mortgage will be taken care of. At the end, if you should perish, they do not go to that family. They offer that family an option of getting another loan to secure the one that you once had. You must get a new loan. And if your family wants to take over that mortgage and get a new loan, they can. And if not, then their house goes on the market for sale. And it's not like anyone is stuck with the burden of that house. But at the same time, you get to pour your equity out up front, use that money for traveling, use that money for trips, use that money for emergencies, use that money for tuition, use that money for your medical. You have enough money then to function off of, to live off. So you should get the thought out of your head that a reverse mortgage is going to put you in debt, because that's not what it's intended to do. They have changed it. It's new laws on it, new regulation. You need to look into it. And getting back to the grassroots, most of us, when we get a little money, we don't stay in the hood anymore. I know we didn't. We left the hood. Well, I never was in the hood, and I've always been in those areas where the actual appreciation of the houses uh, were being held. The equity was being held in the homes. So I never did live in the hood, but I understand the process of being in the hood and then fleeing to the suburbs. I understand that because we want to make sure we have equity in our home so that our homes don't depreciate. And then when we get ready to sell it, we can get the money out of it that we actually put in it, plus extra that we've earned from the house appreciating. There is appreciating that goes up and depreciating that goes down. So we need to have a little bit more on the topic of houses. And so that other people will understand that even if you don't want to live in a house, if you're doing your taxes and you're itemizing, you want a write-off. So you definitely want to own some property so you can be able to itemize and have something to write off. A lot of people don't know that it's not necessarily get a single family home to own in order to write off. You can buy an apartment building, and that's just as good. And you have all these write-offs and discounts, whereas you can use that as the tax shelter for yourself. Well, we've got to get to sustainability. How do we get to sustainability? How do we feel like we're not just over broke, but we're not just surviving, but we are making it? I mean, have any of us ever got to that point in our life where we felt like we were in a decent neighborhood where the equity in our house was being held, plus it was appreciating and going up in value? I got to that point once in my life. But it seems like whenever African American who's middle class get to that point, somewhere along the line, they seem to have the taxes go up. I don't know if it's intentionally, but when you're the only black person in the neighborhood and they have to worry about their cost of their house, the new people that start moving in later on, they start questioning, having a black in the neighborhood. Will it affect their property? And if they sold their house for a lower amount, then their property value is going to go down. And that's quite normal. And even when a black person get ready to move out, they have to worry about, can I sell this house? Will a white person buy this house for me? Or will I have to take lesser amount in order to get out of the house? Or will I have to take a loss? And some of the times we have to take a loss. Sustainability. It's a broad word, but are blacks using it in their community? Are blacks able to sustain and have their gardens, and live off their gardens, and then look at having solar energy? Solar energy in the city or in the state of Indiana is a big thing now. You can get it for a little bit of nothing. That's the best thing we should look into, getting solar energy to cut down on our electricity and fuel prices so that we can fuel our house for less and keep some of that money in our pocket. Right there in Gary, Indiana, their fuel is so expensive. They're paying more for their fuel than their mortgages. They can barely afford to stay in the house because of the electricity bill and the sewer and the water bill. Did somebody intentionally do that? Run up the prices and rates of your sewer bill and water bill so the house is dirt cheap, but can you afford the maintenance? And sometimes it's difficult. But we have to look into buying property, going to auction and buying buildings that are up for sale, because we have to understand that in buying this property, it gives us a tax write-off. And sometimes we can get assistance to get that building allocated for Section A. And then we can rent out our property to the government to provide for Section A. That is a guaranteed way of getting your payment, because Section A is going to lower the price of that property for that tenant. And Section A, the government is going to pay you. I understand that they're timely. They're not slow in making the payment. That would be a great way to go, to buy a building and then get it classified under Section A so that you can market your property to Section A. Now, I want to say that sustainability doesn't always mean that you have to go to work 8 to 5. Some of us can find cottage home businesses in the home. And I've always kept the cottage home business in the home, even though I work 8 to 5. And it's very vital that you should understand that there's a place on the internet called Itchy. Itchy provides for any individual that is an entrepreneur that makes things or creates things and that want to market their product and sell it. Now, I've been looking for a long time at a couple of items. I used to be a seamstress and I got away from that, but I did make blankets and infants' Lafayette's and gowns. And I mainly gave those away for gifts. I never saw the necessity for going into business with that. But that's very time consuming. And there are other ideas that prop up in my head. And I look at various different things like soap making, candle making. All these things interest me in having my own brand and branding that and adding it to what I'm already existently working on. And creating your own clothing line with your logo on it is a great opportunity for sustainability to help you to make it through the night and make it through that month and assist your husband. Don't just lay up in the house while he works and say, well, he's working. No, you create a entrepreneurship, a business where you can supplement that income. Then when vacation time comes, you can have that money stored up and you have excess so that you can go on a trip. We went on a trip every year for our vacation because I've always planned to put a little something away for vacation. Okay? Because even when you're home with that baby, you can still do some extra work, take in some extra laundry, do some extra work. Support your home for sustainability. Support your husband for sustainability. And husbands, if you're home and can't find a job, create a job in a garage to support your wife. Show your interest that you care. Because if you're not equally yoked together, she will soon think that you're not working on the same team with her, and she'll fall farther to the right while you are stagnated and not moving at all. But we must develop community and sustainability. I talked about gardening. You must have your garden. If you cannot put the garden in the ground, then put it above ground. Start growing all your crops, and every year having the community and your family to take in that crop and then putting those items away to sit on the pantry shelf so that you don't have to run off to the grocery store spending lots of money. Do you realize how expensive the food is getting? Every week you go to your cheaper stores, you find that they're starting to bring in some of the more modern things, and their prices are going up with the higher stores. And you have to look at sales. And you have to go in the store when you know there's a sale. You have to buy certain things that are good quality. Don't buy inferior products just because it's cheaper. Don't go in there buying salami and bologna and hot dogs. That's not food. It's products with additives in it. Buy quality meat. Buy quality fish so that you can build strong bones and you build endurance in yourself. This is sustainability, not buying inferior food. Now, I know in some of the states they don't have grocery stores and they're hurting for grocery stores like Detroit, Michigan. People have to go outside of the city to find good shopping stores to bring food home. Now, let's get back to the government. What is the government up to these days? Well, every now and then we hear messages coming from the research department about children being vaccinated and how they're testing out everything on the Black community to see how it works. Right in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where they have the largest population of Black people, there's probably about 98% people there, and about 97, 92% of them are Black. And most of your tests and examination are being tested out right there in Milwaukee. So why are Black folks preyed upon so much for all of your chemical testing ground? And why are so many Black people being placed in prison? And now we have all these people being exonerated who have been in jail for over 50 years. And now they finally exonerated them after they've served maybe 50 years. That can't continue to happen. We can't keep having these accidents of misidentify and having the court case, and just like the story with When They See Us, those 5 boys, they served time which they shouldn't have served. And it wasn't until someone came forth and even indicated that they were the ones who committed the crime, it still wasn't believable by the actual victim. But nevertheless, Black folks are serving way too much time. Our penal system needs to be looked at. It needs to be a team of people to work right alongside the court system that are of the African American race to make sure that there's checks and balances. There's too much going wrong in the courtroom because they're rushing everyone through. That whole penal institution needs to be overhauled. There are far too many of our children on the pipeline on their way into the penal institution because they're doing a number count at 3rd grade level. If you can't read, that will help us predict how many bed cells we'll need in the prison. That shouldn't be happening. And having those prisoners go in there and work for less than minimum wage and producing products when they can be producing their own entrepreneur services. We've got to get back to what Durham, South Carolina, and what Oklahoma was doing when they were building their corporations. I know that it was shot down from the sky and they destroyed that whole town, Oklahoma. I know that happened. Well, we've got to try again because we got to get sustainability and we got to get it fast. And we got to get wealth because we don't want to be permanent underclass. And I refuse to be a permanent underclass. Not as how hard that I worked to go to school to get educated and to get to be one of the top of my class. No, I refuse to be a permanent underclass. Under no circumstances. God promised me manna. He did not promise me subway living. And that's where a lot of us are fearful of having to go in subway living. All of us have come close to losing our property and our homes and wonder what would happen if we didn't have money for a hotel. All of us have come close to feeling like we are going to have to go to our family members to ask them for a loan until we can get back on our feet. Some of them prey on attacking Black people. And they have certain Black people who are financially able that they attack and that they take things from and that they refuse to give money to. Well, I want to say this for the record. Any dime that's ever taken from me, God has promised that it will get back in my hands some type of way. I don't care if A drug addict has to bring it to me. It's going to get back to me. You cannot rob God's people of anything. And there are too many robbers out here. They want to rob you of your personal possession. Then they want to rob you of your pensions. And you have to fight them from the beginning of the courtroom to the end to try to get your pension money for them. And then don't mention if you have a settlement coming, they put a settlement on the table, then they yank it back. What such stingy people do we have out here that are trying to rob African Americans? You can't rob African Americans. We have the energy, we have the frequency for alchemy, and it will come to us. We have been one of the richest people on this earth. To think about our ancestors and the royalty, Queen Sheba alone, and all of the quality in our rays of our African ancestors and the things that they had to produce in order to make this world civil. Do you not remember? It wasn't the Caucasian who created the opportunity for wealth. We were fishermen. We were the ones who had to teach the Caucasian. So how is it that the children are now telling us how to get wealth? We were the ones that manifested wealth. We are manifestors. We can see a thing and bring it into compliance. We can call out a thing. And don't think that Caucasians have the right to steal from you. It's only in a little while now that everything that the riches have been stored up for, that it will be stored up for those that God has set aside as their people. They're just holding their placeholder right now, holding up the things for us. They must release those things. Even those great fancy brick houses that they built, they are only storing it up for the righteous. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. And if you go to every town and you plunder it, you kill, you wage war on them, you steal from them, you must understand that there is repercussion and there is penalties to pay. And our riches are stored up in glory. God will get riches back into those righteous people's hands, no matter what. You may see them down temporarily, but you will see them on the way going up. But we've got sustainability. There wasn't a time that I ever seen God's people begging for bread. If he can provide for the little sparrow, I know he will provide for the African Americans. So just get ready, African American. Our time is here. Our time has come. Our time is here. I've always been rich in my spirit. Anything that I thought that God wanted me to have, I set my sights on it, and it becomes a reality. When you are the best in your class and number one, don't you think that you will not be rewarded? You will be rewarded. And maybe somebody will knock on your door saying, here's all those things that we took from you. I want to bring it back to you. And this is the things that we stole. They're yours. I want to give them back. Their hearts are not going to be set right. Their teeth are going to be set on edge until they make peace with the African American who they've stolen from and who they've gone in front of them and snatched things away from them and hope that they will sadden us. But they don't understand the joy that we have. They didn't give it to us. This joy that we got, they didn't give it to us, nor can they take it away from us. But we have got to stand strong in a time of grassroots. Let's return to our grassroots. You could never make an African American poor. We came together and we were rich. If one brought the Kool-Aid and other brought the chicken and somebody brought the mashed potatoes, we had a picnic. And we know how to have a picnic. Our sustainability laws are so great that you would wonder, how can we take half of a salary per year that someone makes and make do with it? If you took that from us, we still knew how to go get those extra pennies. But when you rob and take it from a white person and they've been used to having everything, they will go down, down, down. They can't sustain themselves. We are the sustainable people of the world who sustained ourselves even when we didn't own ourselves, who sustained ourselves even when our children were taken away. We sustained ourselves even when our husband were taken away from our home. We are sustainable. We're pliable. And we understand grassroots things. And we're getting back to our grassroots. Why don't you get back to your grassroots things today? And why don't you understand that reading is fundamental, but we must teach our children to read, and we must continue to read and to know things, because here's where our blessing lies. Those who are not able to read, get into a reading class and start learning to read. We have much that we have got to explore. Mr. Enforcer wants to take every dime away from us. He's even talking about how he can take Social Security away, and we paid into that. That's our money. He can't take a dime of it away. He can't execute the process of reducing it. He can't come up on us no more, because we're not going to let him. Because even though he thinks he has the power, he don't have any power other than the power that God allowed him to have. And if God didn't say it was so, it ain't so. We got a long way to go, people. We got to lift ourselves up, because our forefathers, they build, and even in end times, they build. In Oklahoma, they build some of the finest businesses and the finest banks, and they owned everything in Oklahoma. Some people got jealous and wanted to blow them away. They went into their businesses and pulled them out of their businesses and beat them to the ground and burn down their personal businesses. That's not going to happen anymore. That is not going to happen anymore. I decree it, and whatsoever is decreed, it will be so. And when we get our benefits, and when we get our excellency and advance ourselves over community, where we run in communities and we have community, there will be no one to come into our community to execute judgment on us. We're the judgment executors. There will be no more of that. Their time is over. It's been over 400 years. Their time is over, and they don't have that kind of authority anymore. They're running scared, because God has already put his finger on them and told them, if you do any more to these people, to my people, I'm going to execute judgment on you. And judgment is being executed right now. And it's not because Omi said so. It's because we are not carnal-minded people. We don't have any weapons to come against them. They own all the weapons, but we're still a part of Voodoo. And Voodoo still honors us. And Voodoo knows that if there's someone messing with their people, you just have to say a murmuring word. Voodoo will be out there on them. Trust me. If there's someone that has passed false judgment on African people, those are the practices of Voodoo. Only need to think a thought, then it's done. Because we don't have to fight our battles. Our spiritual warfare is not done in the physical street. It's done in the optimal mind, where we think a thing out and we look at repercussions and consequences. We know that we must be able to live in this world, but we will let you know, you will not come upon our people anymore like you've done the red-skinned people. We're indigenous people. We have a lot to this land, and we are part of the land, and we was on this land before anyone was. So we're not going to let somebody crucify us all in the name of Jesus Christ anymore. That Jesus Christ stuff is over. It's done with. It's kaput. We never should have let it get in our minds in the first place, because they used that against us. They handed us the Bible and took our virginity away. They handed us the Bible and took our land away. Even the missionaries who I've helped to prepare to go to Africa, they were going there to steal the people's land. They were going there to take cohabitation of their land. They were going there to steal their children away. They're vipers. They're vipers. And they were going there all in the name of missionary, trying to change their mind about who their gods were, trying to give them a new mindset, trying to ruffle the water and show them another way But those who were Ifa and Voodoo, they held strong to their belief. And the Benin people held strong to their belief. And I hope they continue to hold strong to it, because it was our religion that delivered us, not Christianity. It was our way of life. And we do not have a religion as an African traditionalist. We have a way of life. And I want you to know that we are building grassroots people, those who can remain steadfast in the end time, those who can stand up and flat footed and say, I shall not be moved. I will be like a tree, like the water, like the oak tree that stood by the water. I shall not be moved. There's going to come a time when we're going to have to decide on whether or not we put our faith in Jesus Christ, or whether or not we put our faith in Owomala or Ladula Mare, that one who has channeled in our life, who have mounted us to give us solutions for end times. We have to come into compliance, and we have to understand that this thing is finished. The time is up now. Take your appropriate places. Take your appropriate places. Take your appropriate places. Stand and deliver. Be like Harriet Tubman in a time when you must stand and deliver. Stand and deliver. The grassroots has returned, and we will have sustainability. Sustainability in our workplace, sustainability in our home, sustainability with our children. We will maintain sustainability, and we will understand what it means to be steadfast in our beliefs, and we will not fall prey to all of these supernatural things. We are the rainmakers. We have the magic. We've got the magic, and we must use it. Don't just hold on to it and every now and then give a message about the magic. No, this must be discussed amongst us. Do not give your secrets away. Maintain your secrets. Make sure you don't give your formulas away, but understand that we're living in a time now. We must go to our caustic tools and pull them out and let them know that we will use them if necessary, because nobody will come up on us anymore and take anything from us. I've had everything I own taken away from me, but I'd be damned if I'm going to ever give up anything else, because I got my tools ready, and they are sharp, and they are not going to be declined, because we have been giving away ourselves and giving away our time. For what? They don't honor and respect that. They only come against it thinking that we're weak, but they cannot come upon a strong leader again. So get your gear together and realize that you have been called, and you have a purpose, and you have a meaning, and you have got to fulfill your purpose. We have got to create sustainability for our children so we can leave something back here for them. We got to have sustainability in our homes so that our children have a legacy to rest on. We have allowed them to take everything from us, and they've stockpiled our homes over there while we're looking in from the outside, and they're putting the homes in storehouse for their children. But this nonsense has to stop, and we're bringing a stop to it now. Whatever you decree in the spirit, it will become natural. I decree it in the spirit, and it is so. Sustain yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Bring yourself to an understanding that you are the gods that they've been waiting for. You are the gods. There is nobody else. There is no Jesus Christ coming. There is no sky being parted for Elijah. You are the one. You are the one they've been setting the table for. You are the one that they've been waiting for. So take your appropriate places. Mount up and take your appropriate places, because we have been challenged too much, and the challenge is over. The duel is now in effect. Things are going to be changing for the better, and you must speak it into compliance. Speak things that be not as though they were, and they will come to pass. Sustainability is something we should have had a long time ago, as we began to build ourselves and watch for what they were doing and what they were attempting to do. They took our banks down. We have no more banks. They took our towns down where we had the entrepreneurism spirit. That spirit, we can get it back. We can get it back. We can get it back. It's here now. Grab hold to it. Hold on to it. Because sustainability is calling your name. And looking at the grassroots return, let us go back to the grassroots. Let us go back to the all-time chanting that we have to do together as we chant on one accord, that we bring things that be not. My ho ringe ko, namni o my ho ringe ko. Let us chant our chants together and let us bring forth and let us give out and give in, because we are capable of doing this. We are the ones that they've been waiting for, and we're finally here. We are finally here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity of speaking to you. And I'm speaking to those great cities: Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Garland, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Gary, Indiana. We're speaking to Avon, Indiana, and Indianapolis, Indiana. We're speaking to you that you might rise up for the occasion, and that you may bring those leaders forth, and that you may go out and you may create sustainability, and much more, you may create a rival, that these people that have come against each and every one of us who think that these political parties are going to do it, God, show us something different this time. Show us that we don't need the political party, that we'll form our own independent party, and we'll begin to do the work of a missionary, the true missionary. So go out and begin to explore and begin to give out and give in, because I know it's possible, because sustainability is here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Davo and Baba Booey to you, and we will see you soon. Thank you.